Hi, guys. We're so excited to be here.
So
Every
many
week.
things. I feel like every time we get on, it's like, oh, there's so many things to share. And also, like, things look different if
Oh
you're
my
looking
gosh.
at like, there's so many things.
It's we really let too much time go between doing this, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes Lindsay and I have to get in a little hidey hole and build, and
Yeah.
I don't even know, but we're so excited and we have so much to talk about, and I hope we can get it all talked about. If not, we might have to do a part two. So first of all, obviously, and my husband hates these words. He hates obviously and literally, by the way. He's
Well,
like,
my daughter
"Quit
says
using
that.
literally."
My daughter says that all the time. She'll, like, on a regular basis, will be like, no, literal. I'm like, I must say this too much because she says it all the time.
You must, yeah,
And
'cause
it's pretty funny coming out of a 5-year-old's mouth to be like,
it is. Yeah.
literally, I need to blah, 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 blah. And you're like, literally, huh?
Literally, you're
Yeah.
overworked. Anyways, so, well, let's address the obvious, because obviously there has been a really big shift in our free community, in our podcast, and you're also going to see it in some other places. I don't know if this is a surprise or if we're talking about this yet, Lindsay. Anyways, we might to be determined on that. Maybe we just don't say
Yeah.
it. It is a little bit of a surprise. But you're going to notice that we have changed the name of our podcast and our free community to being Living Unshakable from Simplified Success. Now, I want to preface something. That doesn't mean that there's not still very simplified success processes involved,
Hmm.
but we decided that this was even bigger than just simplifying success in your life, that it was all about living unshakably. And that was really the umbrella that we wanted to operate on, because we did not want to leave out some of our core messaging, which is the untangled process, which is chaos to control, which is the aligned life. Yes, they simplify your success, but they also bring you power, peace, and presence. And some of those things we did not want to undermine with
Hmm.
the umbrella. And so we've given it just a little bit of an up level, which makes it a lot of fun. And also, you'll notice too, that, and Lindsay can speak to a little bit of this on her end too, but you're going to notice that when you go look at my content and you look at the stuff that I'm putting out there on social media, that I'm very much leaning into the unsubscribist movement. And
Hmm.
there's a really big reason for that. I had this laid upon my heart. It was October of last year. I'll never forget the day. I mean, I could go look at my calendar and tell you the exact day. I remember it that specifically. It just was laid upon my heart by the Holy Spirit, and he's like, unsubscribist. You are going to walk in this unsubscribist movement. And I knew exactly what that meant. It meant unsubscribing from the world and the culture of the world and the things of the world, and doing our very best with excellence and with our most intentional, meaningful give to help guide you through what that looks like. And that is something that I can go stand on a hill and scream at the top of my lungs about. And I don't care who joins me or not. I am that passionate about it. And if you guys know me, you know that I have to have that in my life. I have to be that passionate and that excited about it. I don't care if you join me or not, but I am so passionate about it. So you're going to see that. And there is some really cool underlying threads coming with that too. So, Lindsay, I want you to kind of speak to a little bit of your side of the house from that same kind of mirrored process.
Yeah. So, Simplified Success, a little history,
Yeah.
has sort of been my brand for years. Not sort of, it's been my brand for years, long
Yeah.
before I had, like, I would say almost like we're going on almost 10 years. And so nothing's really like changing from that perspective because it's very much like always been the underlying of all the things that I do is like helping success be simple. And so
Yes.
like what Krystal said, her sort of underlying piece is this unsubscribist piece. And there are definitely, and this is what's interesting about when you kind of start to identify what matters to you and how you make decisions and how you do stuff. Like there are a lot of elements of what I do that is very much unsubscribing, 100%. But
Mhm.
what I really am pulled to is this simplification concept. And so it will still live in a publication in a different place.
Mhm.
But what we're doing, what has happened in evolution, this is where I think you have to get clear and why we do the Align Life and why these things are so important is that like as you're continuing to grow and as you're continuing to learn, it doesn't mean that the thing that you had before goes away. It just means that it could potentially be a piece of something even bigger. And so I think that's sort of what this transition looks like, is that, when Krystal and I came together to build this thing, we knew it was something we were called to do. We knew we were supposed to do it. We weren't exactly sure how. We knew that we brought complementary skill sets. We knew that we brought complementary worlds together, but we've been navigating through the right way to connect those together. And a lot of that initially came from a lot of enterprise work and doing some really big things for some really big organizations, but the impact was different. And so the impact was just for that organization. And so what Krystal and I really felt pulled to from the very beginning, but we were still navigating exactly how that looked. We didn't have the language. We didn't have the honestly, the clarity and the simplicity that we can explain now of exactly what that looks like. And so now at this point, we can very clearly tell you, like, being in this world, being in this community is about becoming unshakable and what that actually will mean for you. And there's lots of things that can come into play that help you to become unshakable, and that tools and resources that you need. To me, like, the core of living unshakably is that you are able to step into peace and protect your peace at all costs. And that no matter what is going on around you, you continue to be unshakable. Does that mean that you're unaffected? Absolutely not. Does it mean that bad things or annoying things aren't still going to happen? Absolutely not. Does it not mean that you don't get to have amazing, beautiful experiences? Absolutely not. But when you're unshakable in it, all the other things that we talk about all the time in here, using the Untangled Journal and using the Align Life and the work that we did in Unshakable Leader, and the work that we do in the Simplified Success piece that's about optimizing systems, and all of those things all come together for you to become unshakable, so that you can genuinely tap into the real piece of the calling that you have on your life. And so it didn't seem big enough. It didn't seem like it covered it properly. Right. And so it's not that Simplified Success is going away, by no means. Actually, it's getting even more energy now, because we've got so clear on what we're at, how we're here and what we're doing. And frankly, like, how we're going to offer things and what we're going to do, because we know now very clearly that our calling of this organization is to help you to become unshakable. And so it's not about, are we going to build a bot over here? It's not about, are we going to go ahead and give you a journal over here to help you remove some roadblocks, or a better mindset trick over here, or, chaos to control, which is like helping you have some tools and resources to manage when things are chaotic. Like, it's all of it. And depending on what you need today, maybe you do need to have specific help on letting go of some junk. Maybe you need specific help of, when we're going to talk about today, because we're going to do our first really big flagship, simplifying success in the techie type concept. But don't worry, it's not going to be too techie. We'll talk about that.
No.
But like, we're really focused on giving you those foundational building blocks that really make you unshakable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say something. Can I talk about Substack, Lindsay? Can I talk about that? Okay. So this is a really cool new corner of the internet. I am totally taking Lindsay's words here. So Lindsay, like, she brings me gifts. She's the most fun business partner, because we'll wake up and have our level 10 meeting on Monday morning, and she brings me these really neat gifts. And they're always gifts.
I did good this weekend. I didn't really work that much this weekend, but I came back on Monday with something pretty cool.
Some really cool gifts. And one of the really cool gifts that she's brought to us has been our movements on Substack. They are premature. They are little bitty. We're going to link them here so you can go check them out. But this is where we do not hold back. We hold back a lot on other platforms. We don't hold back on the podcast, but I'm telling you, we really let it loose. We let things fly. Our opinions are in full swing over there, especially mine. You guys know me, I'm very opinionated. But they are in full swing over in Substack, and we are really excited about this new corner of the internet. Could see some really cool things coming from this. Stay tuned in the future with this. This is a really cool, new, fun little place to hang out. So you're going to see the Unsubscribe Us movement and the Simplified Success movement over on Substack, and they really come in and they feed together beautifully with the Living Unshakable movement that we are creating over on the other platforms, which then feed into the Builder Academy if you want to go learn how to do it. And then if you want to take it to even a deeper level, we are going to have our first round of the All-In Mastermind this fall. And so that's where we take it, and we just get crazy intense with it, and you walk out of there super calibrated and super changed. Okay, but I'm going to take a hard shift, because we have so much cool stuff to talk about today, and I really want to get to the AI challenge, Lindsay. I really want to get into this.
I'm so excited about this.
Yes.
You guys
And
are going to put AI to work. I'm so excited.
yeah, I am so excited. And so I want to set this up really, really properly because I I have so many opinions and thoughts about this. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys know that we just finished up a really big series, The Great Thought Recession, the greatest loss mankind will ever experience, your ability to think. So 10 out of 10 was one of the most highly successful master classes that we've done. We did it a
And
lot
like
of free,
super fun conversation. If you missed it,
super
like
fun.
go back and listen because it's just a really cool, thought-provoking conversation.
Absolutely. And so as we work into it, it might seem that the Great Thought Recession and put AI to work are very paradoxical conversations and paradoxical ideas. I want to bring something to you to make sure that you understand the filter from which we bring this from, because we do stress test these ideas, and we do very much bring these with all of our convictions in mind, because we are definitely not about doing things to just turn something over and create an explosive process. Okay. So you need to understand the Great Thought Recession, which is what we just went through, teaches you specifically about how to use AI with integrity and with um, holding it very, it's a very, very powerful tool. It's one of the most powerful tools mankind has ever been handed.
Mhm.
And so we don't take that lightly, and we feel a very great responsibility to teach to not take that lightly.
Yeah.
Because something that crawls all over me is when I'm on social media and I see people use this prompt, stick your picture in AI, create this graphic
Oh,
of yourself, and I'm like,
ugh,
oh no,
ugh.
no. You
Yeah.
you
That's it.
need to have some education around how you
Yeah.
use this, because what social media did to culture, to change culture, AI is going to do faster and have an even deeper impact.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just go ahead and
It's
say
already happening.
it's already happening, but there are some
Yeah.
scary things happening with artificial intelligence. There are.
Yeah.
You
You have to be
cannot
really
sit
smart.
you cannot sit here, and it's just like the only thing that we really have to compare it to is social media. There are and still are some very scary things that happen with social media. There are
Mhm.
some very sketchy things that happen on social media. And I have often been asked, because you guys, if you've spent any time hanging out with me, you know that over the last decade and almost a half now, I spent my whole entire life building businesses on social media. And one of the number one questions people would bring to me is like, aren't you scared? Don't you? I hate social media. I hate being on there. I'm like, I completely understand your thoughts. And I don't disagree, because there are parts of it I hate too. And I have very strict boundaries around my social media usage and consumption.
Mhm.
However, I do not believe with all of my heart and soul that being ignorant to how it functions and works is key. I think the key is to stay highly aware of how it works, how to use it so that you can stay abreast of the latest things that come out on it. Leverage it as a tool, because it is a tool and it's not going away, and educate yourself on the process. And I firmly believe that with artificial intelligence too. You can sit here and you can push back on me all you want to and say, well, I hate it. I'm not going to use it. It scares me. I understand all those feelings, and those are real. Those are really real. But the bottom line is you're not going to beat it. So
Mhm.
you might as well learn how to leverage it and how to be intelligent with it, so that first of all, you don't fall so far behind in the world that you don't know what's going on, so you become obsolete, because that's a real thing. And with jobs, that's really, really real. I had a conversation last night with a guy who was talking to me about it on a very high world level scale, but also being very aware um that education knowledge is power, right?
Mhm.
Understanding things and having knowledge creates wisdom. And when you walk with the Holy Spirit, you have knowledge, you have an applicable skill set, it sets you up for success. And so I say that to say that Lindsay and I handle AI very cautiously, but we absolutely do use it with really good filters and really, really good lenses. And so as we talk about this challenge, because we are really excited about this challenge, I wanted to be really clear with that, because I've already fought this battle with social media over the last decade and with people and their thoughts on it, and I will still stand on that hill. And so I'm doing the same thing over here because I feel like I am not going to beat it and it's not going anywhere. So I'm going to learn how to use it and learn how to protect myself and my thought leadership against it. Okay. So Lindsay, with all that said, anything else you want to add to that spicy conversation?
Yeah. So here's my thing. I think there's no reason to argue that there's a lot of risks around AI, and I think I think we also recognize that there's security risks. There's like you said, the job piece, and also the resource thing. Like it does use resources. Like and depending on where you live in the country, like maybe you're seeing this, maybe you're not. Where we live, at least where I live, not as much as where Krystal is, but definitely where I live. Like we are very prime for these data centers and things like that. So there's a lot of conversations around it, and I don't think by us saying, here's the way that we think you should put it to work is in any way saying that those are not true reality things.
Right.
Here'd be my flip on the whole thing. I think it's kind of like anything that comes out, anything good at all, when used inappropriately, has a negative result or a negative outcome. That could be down to coffee, for goodness sakes, and a piece of cake, like anything good and enough. You have a product that a lot of people are going to use. So there's definitely risks that come with it. There are bad actors who are using it to do bad things. It's kind of that saying, like more money makes you more of who you were, right? More resources and tools like this makes you more of who you were, right? And you'll see that in what we're about to talk about, because the way that we've used it is more about more the way that we are. It's making us better. And I wouldn't even say better. It's optimizing how we do things, because that's what we always look for anyways. So I want you to think, and this is part of when we do this, Put AI to Work challenge that we're going to be inviting you guys into. The first part is helping you walk you through how you go about leveraging this properly within your values, but then also so that it actually makes a difference. So what I've seen a lot of people doing with AI is talking about prompts. Use a prompt. The prompt's so important. I agree with you. It is. But I think the piece that everyone seems to be sort of, I shouldn't say everyone, I hate generalizations, that I see a lot of people missing, is that this tool, when done appropriately, can actually, one, it'll never have to start with a blank slate again. So you get to be promoted to an editor versus a complete starting from scratch. And that in itself is really huge. But I think as you're using it, I think you have to apply your same values to it, and use it in a way that is responsible. So when I say responsible, being able to use it really well actually allows you to be responsible with the resource. So when I'm using AI, and which is using up energy, it is using up water, it's using up these resources, I'm using it in a really responsible way. I'm not just asking a million questions. I'm not using it ineffectively. I'm not wasting its time or mine building things in a way that doesn't actually get what I want. So the more that you use it ineffectively, you're actually contributing to the problem. Right. And so and frankly, behind the scenes of nearly every software you use, they're leveraging these kinds of tools, because it just makes it better, faster. It makes it higher quality, and it makes it more efficient, which in default is actually helping the whole wheel. So I would say, one, you can't ignore that it exists, because if you ignore that it exists, just like anything, there's huge risks to that too. So there's that. I mean, obviously, if you live like off grid up in the mountains somewhere, maybe you get to ignore it. But if you work in any environment, or if you're listening to this podcast, most likely you're in a world where ignoring this completely isn't going to be an option. It is. You always have the option, but it's probably not a good one for you. But the second to that is you really need to learn how to use this in a way that, one, is responsible, two, is safe, but three, actually gets you results that don't require you over and over and over. And so this is where we start talking about this concept of an AI employee. Okay. An AI agent. Okay. So the difference between an agent and a chat, let's talk about that for just a second, because I think this is a really important distinction. And you'll see a lot of, whenever AI first came out, everybody was like, here, take my free 100 prompts. It's all about your prompt. Take my prompt, right? And I would argue that's actually not a bad call, especially if you're learning how to use AI. One of the biggest things, and we're going to talk about this in the challenge, is context, right? People think about, like, if you hired a new employee and you were like a brand new person in your team, and you were like, build me a marketing strategy. When would you ever just look at somebody and say, build me a marketing strategy? And then be mad when they didn't build you a very good one? That's how a lot of people engage with AI. Write me 5 posts. Okay. Well, and you get kind of average results, because if you had a person walk into your office and you said, write me 5 posts, you know me, write me 5 posts.
Right.
You interviewed to work here. You know what we do. Write
Right.
me 5 posts.
Right.
Like it wouldn't end very well. Right. And you'd probably be frustrated. So
hold on one second before you go where I know you're fixing to go, because I'm
okay.
super lit about where you're fixing to head, and I want to kind of set this up even deeper.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay. Because some of us don't speak.
You're watching the live version. My hair is so cute today.
But it's cute.
Kidding.
Okay.
It's a cap day. It's cap day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't quite speak as deep tech and AI as Lindsay,
Yes, that's what I have Krystal for. Translator.
Krystal,
Pausing for translation. Yeah.
So I want to give you guys a little bit of context around what we're fixing to dive into and what Lindsay's fixing to go to. So basically, what Put AI to Work is going to be all about. It's going to be all about being able to come in and take something that you do on repeated process every single day and simplify it and take all of the heavy lifting out of it for you so that you have more space. Our hope is that you have more space to go be a human. Not that you have more, I mean, you can take it to work, you can do whatever you want to, but our hope is that this gives you back more time with your family, with your spouse, with your children, outside, doing things to where you are less behind a screen and you have more time to be a human, because that's what it's done for Lindsay and I. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I want to set this up a little bit. Number 2, a reason why this is really, really important is because most jobs today, when you start a job, they're looking for a couple of different things, oftentimes, especially in the modern world. They're going to hand you AI. They're going to hand you abilities to leverage AI. They're going to watch how you do it. The ones that know how to come in and leverage AI smarter, not harder, are the ones that are going to stay and keep a job. And this is a terribly unfortunate reality, but it's so true. And we need, I'm not trying to create any fear, but I want to drive home the impact of what this actually does. The ones that refuse to do it or refuse how to do it well are the ones that are going to get left behind and are going to struggle to stay up in the job field. And that's a true reality. I've had conversations with people about this recently, and this is a very, very real thing. And so being able to learn how to put this into practice with what Lindsay's fixing to teach us is so critical, because not only is it going to give you back time in your life, which is so important, but it's also going to help protect the industry that you're in, the job that you're in, the career path that you're in for longevity, because you have this skill set and it's something that everybody needs to know. Okay, Lindsay, keep going.
Yeah. So when you use AI with just prompts, without context, without boundaries, you really are just creating AI slob.
Yeah.
And it's the thing nobody wants. Everybody hates it. Nobody wants it. Right? Nobody wants to, and frankly, no one wants to see the internet covered with your social media post that AI came up with that doesn't sound like you at all, that isn't your idea, that's just write me 5 posts. Okay. Yeah. And I've seen coaches coach this. Like we a coach that we have bought content from, or bought courses from, specifically on a very specific topic, had a little bonus of like how to use AI to do parts of this. And I watched it and I was like, team, do not watch this. Do not do this. If I catch you doing this, like it's the most irresponsible way to use the tool. Right. And so, and it's the biggest thing of why we had the conversation about not letting AI think for you, prefacing how to use it properly, is because you have to get really clear on your values, on what's important. And so the way that we've used it is
because very much hold your guardrails. AI can hold your guardrails and your boundaries.
Based on what we know today, there could be a Terminator reality in the future. Like, we don't know. But based on what we know today, actually, there was a girl that I used to work with that she was always like very kind to AI. And she would be like, thank you so much. She was like, I just want to make sure that if it ever takes over, it remembers how nice I was. She was legitimately honest. That was really what she thought. And I was like, well, I can't promise that it's not going to take over. I don't have any control over that.
And that's a really scary, terrifying reality, but
100%. So is nuclear war. So is the fact that the majority of people's food comes from the grocery store. And if you couldn't get food at the grocery store, you wouldn't have food. There's a lot of things about the way that our world is structured today that are terrifying that you could choose to subscribe to. We choose to unsubscribe from a lot of those things because, frankly, they're not in your control. And this is we're going on a huge tangent. They don't serve you, right? But when it comes to to putting AI to work and how we're going to teach you to leverage that. I
Mhm.
think the difference between using prompts appropriately to create things is a really good start, but it's an
Mhm.
elementary beginning. And frankly, like that's how I got started too. So this is no shade on prompts.
Mhm.
Um, but I think where you actually get the leverage out of it and where you actually get real high quality product is when
Mhm.
you start to leverage the idea of an agent. So
Mhm.
we lovingly call this an AI employee. An
Yeah.
agent is something that has been highly trained to do something within a box, within a parameter. Sorry, my daughter's walking away, so I'm waving. If you're watching the live, she was in here coloring and now she's headed to get ready for school. We do early podcast recordings over here.
Yep.
So and she has her own little corner in my office of her little
Oh,
coloring.
yeah.
Sorry. So yeah, so we do life here. This is how we do things. Like and this is actually, I don't love my kid on camera. And like you'll see that in my content. I don't put her in AI. Like I have boundaries in how I do stuff. And like our girls that help us edit our content, like edit our videos, they know I don't want her face and stuff. So like you
Mhm.
can put those kinds of boundaries on your life and
Right.
and that, what I would argue, is kind of not of the world, right? Like most people just put their, and frankly, was there pictures of her on the internet? Sure, you can track them down, but there's not that many. Like we've put pretty hard boundaries on that. It's
Mhm.
the same thing when you're talking about how you're going to leverage an agent.
Mhm.
When we create these agents, we create with a purpose. And this is where we're going to give you guys some of the pieces that are going to be in this challenge. I will say in this challenge, we're very intentionally, this is not 87 hours of content. This is not a 5-day, 4 hours a day thing. Because
Mhm.
frankly, who has time for that? I don't even have time to make that for you because I don't want to spend my time that way. I'd rather hang out coloring with my kid on the floor.
Right.
So
Right.
like, this is going to be bite size. You're going to get small pieces of information, some education, 5 to 8 minutes. You're going to have 10 to 15 minutes of implementation.
Mm.
That is going to be the thing for the day. It's going to be very consolidated. And at the end, you're going to have a product. But one of the
Mhm.
first pieces we're going to go through, and this is where you have to start asking questions. What are you actually trying to replace? The
Mm.
biggest thing and we're going to walk through this, is we're going to do a time audit of where your time is going. And that's the first agent we're going to build, because the first thing you can do is buy back some time. And buying back time is the game changer, because you
Mhm.
get to fill that in different ways. We recommend going back to your aligned life and your values and what's important to you and how you
Mhm.
refill that. And we'll
Right.
talk about that in the future. But for now, we're going to get you guys some time.
Yeah.
And the first thing you have to do is decide what people will sit down with AI. They'll get all stuck because they'll be like, I'm going to teach it. I want it to build my content for me. Let's say that's your priority. You spend the majority of your time on content. I'm
Mhm.
going to argue for most of you, that's probably what you're going to think you need to build first. But when you actually do the time audit, you probably don't spend that much time on content. It's probably
Mhm.
not the first thing to give away. Just
Mhm.
throwing that out there. Not
Mhm.
saying that it might not be for some of you, but for most of you, something else could be delegated to AI, leveraged with AI, that would
Mhm.
give you way more time and change your life. So
Right.
this whole idea of like, use it for this, because this is what everyone else is doing, that is not leveraging AI to leverage your life.
Right. Well, and I think it's
Like,
a
you
really
want to say
important
something. I
call
can tell,
out.
like, I can tell you want to say something.
Yeah, well, it's a really important call out that this challenge is gonna be very customizable. So you are not coming in here and going through a process like a calf in a chute and getting the same treatment.
I love
You're
how that's your analogy.
might
What
be my
does Krystal do during the day?
might be
Some
my
stuff.
life, might be my life. Right, might be my life. Might
Yeah.
love it. But that's not how this is gonna be. I love that Lindsay has put together this time audit at the beginning of this challenge, because then it's gonna be very customizable for every human that walks through it, to be very specific to their needs.
Yep.
And so Lindsay's kind of actually put me through this right now, and I've gone through it because I am often the receiver of the amazing agents that she builds, but I don't necessarily build my own, right? I have in the past, but not to this capacity. And so Lindsay's
Yeah.
actually been walking me through this. And one of the most exciting things that I'm lit about, and I've talked about this a little bit in my content, but it's my fat burning bot agent. I don't know. I love the word bot. I don't know. Agent seems,
Well,
but anyways, you get,
and one note on this, it can be
yeah.
the thing that brings you the most joy or the thing that takes you the most time. I would argue in this case, it's probably true in both. Like Krystal was
Yes,
spending a
yeah.
lot of time, like if she was doing her time audit outside of like work, she was spending a lot of time in this category, tracking, managing things where like, I mean, how much time do you think, I know you're working on building Fanny right now. How much time do you think that you're going to get back by building Fanny both brain, because here's the other thing, brain capacity and actual work, right? Because
Well,
if there's a task that you have that you
yeah.
think about a lot, you're giving up more than you think you are because you're not present where your feet are. You're not doing as high quality of work because you're using a bunch of you only get 100% a day, right? And if you're using some of your body battery and your brain power for a thing, you're stealing it from other places. So like, before you talk about Fanny, how much time, just being honest, do you think that you mentally and physical time that you were putting into this agent, or I'm sorry, into this task, this deliverable on like a daily basis?
Oh, I would say probably at least 3 to 4 hours a day that
Yeah.
I spend doing this, and it's because it's important to me.
Yeah.
It's a direct reflection of my health and protecting my muscular structure and my bone density for longevity. So, it's not a vanity plight anymore. It used to be. I'm gonna be
For
totally
sure.
transparent. I
Yeah.
used to be completely consumed with weight loss. This is more about building muscle for longevity, but I have figured out that a good litmus for me is fat loss. I enjoy tracking my fat loss because then I can track my muscle gains. I have this whole formula in my head. I'm not going to go into it. But basically what Fanny does for me is Fanny takes my input versus my output, what I eat versus how much I move during a day, and it gives me a direct reflection of the protein that I took in, the fiber, my movement versus my total calories, and it shows me where I'm headed for longevity. And it based on what I wanna see. I wanna see exactly how much fat I burned or didn't burn in a day, and I wanna see that trend over time because I have goals. I have goals, y'all. I do have a pair of pants that I would like to get back into, and after I married Mr. Blackard, he fed me way too much of that Southern food, and I can't fit into them, so I'm just gonna be super
It's really
transparent with
because you married the person's whose mom makes the best banana pudding that I have yet to
that.
try.
That's absolutely true, and so
Yeah.
yeah, and so with that said, but it also gets me excited because those data points light my soul on fire, and I do it manually anyways, and so being able to have something that I put the data in because 'cause I'm collecting the data anyways. I put it in and then it delivers to me every morning where I can see my trends, my actual trends based on me. One thing I wanna call out here, one thing I wanna call out and be really noteworthy of. This does not replace my human coach who humanly coaches me through fat loss, nutrition, muscle gains, building muscle, lifting heavy. This does not replace her. In fact, I still pay her money because this does not replace my human, not replacing her.
It replaces the capacity in your
It
brain.
replaces the work that
Yeah.
I'm having to do,
Sorry.
and I
Took
can't
took your
call her every day and be like, "Can you please tell me where I'm messing up? Can you please tell me?" She's got a life. So I wanna call this out. This is just to help me during my week to be successful, and then when I meet with her once a week, then I have a more lasered touch point that we can talk about. So,
Yeah.
just wanna
So
call
so
that out.
this is giving you back probably an hour of your day's mental capacity, because 'cause you're still
Probably.
lifting, like, the 4 hours that you're investing to this goal, to this
Oh,
important,
yeah.
you're not,
Oh, no, no, no.
this is the important part I want people to remember about
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
This is not going to replace 100% of the input, right?
No.
Krystal still has to physically do a thing.
Yeah.
But this is the focus, and when we're talking about this, we'll do a time audit. It's, where can you replace steps
Yep.
and replace mental capacity? And by doing this, she's actually been able to free up, I'm assuming you could tell me, probably an hour a day of mental
Mhm.
capacity that you were giving
Yeah.
away to
Yeah.
thinking about this thing
Yeah.
by leveraging something else.
Well,
And
and
so,
really, it was about the worry that I wasn't doing it correctly. Because
yeah,
when I look at the trend over time and I see that I know I'm doing it correctly, and I'm like, "Okay, this is adding up." And for
yeah.
me, what's reported grows, what's reported and recorded grows exponentially. I'm very triggered that way.
Yeah. So I'll give you guys a little behind the scenes of my first agent and the one that I use the most. Actually, we were just
Yeah.
looking at our agent usage, and like,
Yeah.
mine's the most. I think it said that this month it saved me 23 hours. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah. So there's no secret that I run multiple things, right? So like, I work a full-time job that I absolutely love. That's fantastic, right? We have our KL, our this whole world, our unshakable this whole thing that we do here.
Mhm.
Um my family owns a custom home building company that my husband and my parents run on a daily basis that I have some involvement in.
Right.
I have my daughter. I have my own health goals. I have all the
Mhm.
things, right? We have all, and why we have a whole system for how we manage all the things. And actually, someday we'll talk about how we manage KL and like the system that we use and all of that.
Yep. Yep.
But the same system that we use for KL, I have chunks of that are my personal, that is me, my life, because there is a 0% chance I could manage all the things I manage without a really strong tool.
Right.
But I think of things, and one thing I've learned for myself is that if I don't write it down or get it out of my brain, it will go on a loop in my head and I will not be present where my feet are. And one of my very important value propositions is that I want to be where I'm at. I want to be able to be present, and I don't want to miss the little things, right?
Right.
I mean, raise your hand, right? Like if we were alive, raise your hand to like who doesn't want to miss the little things, right? And when your brain is being used to remember things, you don't have a good system, you miss little things. You just do. Right. And so the first agent that I built is actually Tasky. Was the thing that I came up with. I can jump in there, voice say, hey, remind me to do this thing on this day, put it on this list so that I don't forget. And I've trained it to always assign it to me unless I tell it otherwise. But I also use it for team stuff because our team is all connected in the same agent architecture. Right. And so like after our level 10 meeting, we use the entrepreneur operating system. If you haven't read Traction, fantastic. We'll talk about it on a different day. But we have weekly meetings, Krystal and I do, where we go over the traction, the things that we're doing, and then we handle any issues that we need to decide and solve, right? And so from that meeting, there's usually a couple of action items, usually. I just throw them in Tasky, and I'm like, Tasky, here's the action items for the team. Here's the action items for me. Here's how I want it done. Go ahead and get them assigned.
Yeah.
You know how much time that saves me?
Oh my gosh.
And even better, because Tasky has access to our note taker, which is our other agent who takes, our assistant. We don't have a cute name for that. Our secretary. Who takes notes for us. I just gave Tasky the notes. And actually I told Tasky to go get the notes. I didn't even go give. I said, hey, level 10 just happened. Can you go pull all of the tasks? Let me see what they are. And then I'll have you assign them appropriately. It gave it to me. And for the record, as you guys can tell, I like to talk. Typing for me takes forever. So if you're a talker like I am, I don't even type anymore. And so I literally jump into Tasky and like I did after our level 10. Actually, I was having my blood pulled yesterday because I'm working on some health stuff for myself. Nothing bad. Don't worry. I just have function health and I get my blood pulled every 6 months for like baseline. And so I was on the way to get my blood pulled because we do early morning meetings because that's Krystal and I are wildly weird and we're most inspired first thing in the morning. So it's kind of why we get to do this is because it doesn't affect our other stuff.
Right.
Like because Krystal has to she used the cattle example, she's doing like we have other stuff that we do. But we had our morning meeting early yesterday. And I dropped my daughter off and then I had my blood on the way getting my blood pulled. I was like, hey, Tasky, I need you to go pull all the notes from the meeting. Please pull the tasks, put them in a list for me, make sure I like them. And then once we're good, I'm going to have you go ahead and assign them to the team. Went ahead and did it. And then once I looked at them, I validated. Important step. I validated what my agent, what Tasky had pulled. I gave Tasky some corrections. Girl was close, but she missed a couple, right? And a couple of the things I was like, oh, that's not going to make sense to them. That made sense to us. So I added some additional context and then I was like, all right, book them. So within less than an hour from that meeting, I dropped my daughter off. I got to my blood test. I was sitting in the lobby. I read what Tasky finished and I said, booked. And then I messaged Krystal. Actually, I told Tasky to message Krystal, but I messaged Krystal and said, hey, everything's scheduled for the week. So this is where you move from, but if I didn't train Tasky appropriately,
right,
and I didn't build the agent the right way,
right,
then it wouldn't have the context of how I like things done, my voice, the way that I want the task organized. This was a very hyper-specific agent, right? This agent is the one that builds tasks. So it knows the language. It knows what needs to be included when I give an external task to somebody else versus when it's my own. It knows that I can literally go in there, do a voice note and say, tomorrow, create this and put it on this list. That's all I have to say. And it will show up on my list for tomorrow. Sometimes so this is me. I don't know about y'all. I track like things that I like that maybe I want to buy someday and I put them on a shopping list. I'll just tell Tasky, like, throw this on my shopping list because it's like someday I might buy it. I don't know. Adventures I want to go on. Speaking of, okay, this is like a really off topic, but super fun. We are going on a mini adventure in a few weeks, to a pudding festival because that exists in Texas.
What?
It's a pudding festival. We saw it when we were driving by. Banana pudding. It's a pudding.
Pudding?
Yeah, it's a banana pudding festival.
Not pudding.
And
pudding?
Yeah, well, hold on. So it's a banana pudding festival we're going to, and you buy a pudding pass so that you get to try all the banana puddings.
And it's pudding, not pudding.
No, it's Banana Pudding Festival, but the pudding pass. Yes.
Where
So,
where is this located?
Post or Slayton, I can't remember.
Oh.
It's not between here and Lubbock. So if you want to meet me in person, I'm going to be there. The pudding. I probably shouldn't tell people where I'm going to be. It's probably a little. We're not that popular. It's okay. It's fine. But I was thinking about. I was like, maybe I shouldn't tell you where I'm going to be. Well, it's somewhere in Texas, somewhere in Utah. We're going to be in Utah at the pudding festival.
The pudding.
Utah. But when I saw that the first time, I went to Tasky and I was like, look up pudding festival next week. And then next week came up my list. I'm like, oh yeah, I did want to look at that. So that I wasn't sitting there thinking about it for the next 5 hours. Right. So, quick thing I want to give away on this, right? We're going to go over this in depth in the challenge. Okay. But couple of quick tips. Okay. One, like get in the challenge, because when you go through the challenge, we're literally going to walk you through in those bite-sized pieces. At the end, this isn't us teaching you concept or I'm sorry, teaching you thought, like ideas. You're
Right.
literally going to learn the framework of how to do this, and you're going to do it live. There are 2 implementation calls so you can ask questions, but at the end, you're going to know how to do this so that you can do it over and over again. We are
Right.
not giving you a fish. We are teaching you how to do this.
Right.
But first big step, so whether you're going to be in here or not, is to get really clear on what's taking most of your time. Time audit. Got to focus on that first. Otherwise, you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're building things that may or may not actually make any result. Okay. 2 is you have to get really clear on context. Okay. The best way, and this is the same thing that's true for any automation, the best way to automate a process is to have a really good manual one. The reason why doing Fanny is going to be so easy and why Krystal's starting to work on that is that she has a very manual way that she does this. She knows exactly what to do. It's the same thing when you hire a new employee. If you don't have a good process, they're probably not going to duplicate it very well.
Right.
Same thing, and even more important with an agent. So number 1 is time audit. Number 2 is getting really clear on exactly the steps that you want to have taken. Number 3, this is like the juicy, okay? So everybody always wants to argue about which AI tool to use. Okay, I can't tell you what those people argue. Are you a Claude person? Are you a ChatGPT person? Are you a Gemini? Are you all? There's so many, and frankly, they're all really good for different things. I think the answer is yes. Okay.
Yes.
And I think depending on what you're trying to do, here's the flex that I think people miss the most. You can use them to leverage each other. Okay. And this is where I think I've skipped some to go faster. And we'll talk about this. This is kind of an advanced level of AI is leveraging skills where you can create sort of AI brains. If people talk about second brains, those are skills in some language, depending on what type of AI tool you're using. And that's where you can go like next level. Okay. But before you can do that, you have to be able to know the time audit to know what you're gonna delegate, what you're leveraging. Okay. You have to get really clear on exactly how it needs to go. Okay. And once you do that, you can leverage AI to build the brain for the AI tool you're going to use. Okay. That's the part where I have saved hours. Okay. And I think it's where people get messed up. They try and then they use up all their credits. This is the problem. I've had some people tell me like I maxed out my Claude credits in a day. And I'm like, but how? They're like, well, I just maxed it out. I'm like, but how? Because you didn't have the right time frame, you didn't have the right context, and you didn't leverage the correct side of AI tools, whether you're using Claude or ChatGPT, to have it build the right brain to where your co-work, which is the agent side of things, could actually give you a good result.
Right.
So you were constantly going back and forth. So it wastes your time. And then you're just like, it's faster. I could have done it myself without it. So I think that's the biggest leverage point that I think people miss is you have to use the chat side of AI. I don't care which one. I personally have a really well-trained one in ChatGPT, so that's my go-to. But ChatGPT has one. Gemini has one. You can do a chat side of Claude that doesn't use up credits the same. You have to leverage telling it exactly what you want and help it use it to use the language to train your actual agent. Because there is a language from AI perspective of what you need to say and how you need to say things and the boundaries that need to be communicated, not like you do in English.
Right.
And rather than you learning how to completely code, you can sort of vibe code, which is what that means. It's just like AI to create the code that you want, which I was like, everyone comes out with vibe coding. I Googled it. I was like, really? So you're just like working in AI? Okay, cool.
Right.
like that is the biggest flex. So when I'm building an agent, after I've done that initial audit of what I'm actually trying to get it to do, time I'm going to save, and I get really clear on what I'm actually going to have it leverage,
Uh-huh.
I go into one of my chat windows and I
Yes.
go tell it with my words. I want
Yep.
it to do this. I don't want it to do that. I want it to do this. I want it to do that. And then I go pull together the infrastructure.
Yep.
That gives me a really good boundary. But then I also have to go pull, and this is the next step. I'm giving away a lot of things. Should I pause or keep going? Keep
Go
going?
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I go pull the different contexts that we already have built. So we have
Yeah.
context for our voice, for what we say and don't say. Like we don't say bad words. I don't want my outputs to have bad words in them.
For some reason,
So
my AI started cussing
yeah, yours
recently,
started doing that. I
and
don't. But it's
yes,
not an agent. It's your chat, and
I
that's the
know.
difference. There's no
Yeah.
boundary.
And just so you know, to put some context to this, Lindsay, like I am pretty well schooled in this stuff,
Oh,
and
for sure.
I still I couldn't go do this without the challenge. Just so you understand,
Yeah.
like
Well, and there's a
I
difference
conceptually
between
understand what you're saying,
yeah.
but I am so ready for this challenge because I cannot wait. Like Lindsay just gives me gifts. She doesn't just teach me how to do it. She'll just give me gifts. She's like, okay, it's faster for me just to go do it for you. Here's the gift. I'm so excited to walk through this with you. But
Krystal leverages chat like nobody else. A chat window.
mm,
But a chat window is different than an agent who does
right.
work consistently
And the
and
fact that
frankly
you're
can be
cussing is
scheduled.
a really good example. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe I do yell at you. I don't think I do though. I'm like, do I cuss
No.
it? I don't
No.
think I do.
And that's the danger of leveraging chat and not building
Right.
these agents. And if
Right.
you don't build the agents, you lose the ability to schedule and automate. Because
Right.
you can't automate a chat. That still requires you, right? And
Right.
so with the agents, like I use the example of Tasky, I intentionally built it to be that way, but we have other agents that just run. I have a morning coffee agent that just runs and it just tells
Right.
me every morning all the pieces. And so this is where you really actually get time back.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is amazing. I am so excited about this challenge. I'm so excited about the fruit that it's going to produce. And the biggest thing that I'm excited about is the fact that I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even care if anybody else did it. I'm so excited about the fact that our team, myself and
And
our
our
and
team's
guys
going through it.
team get to go through this because it's
Yeah.
going like it's almost like you create what you desperately need, right? And it's like we've put this process into place because we knew Lindsay had this capability, but we're like, hey, we want to get inside your zone of genius. And it really is a zone of genius. It's absolutely incredible what Lindsay can do. And with the implementation call where you get live human guidance on how to actually make this sing and just
Mhm.
like, "Ah," it's going to
I
be,
mean, at the end, you're going to have your first agent and you're going to have invested
yeah,
no more than about 30 minutes a day during the week. We're not going to have
yeah,
any drops on the weekends and we
yeah,
can catch up if you miss anything. So
yep,
in less than 20 sessions, you're going to have your very first truly running agent and
yeah.
very, I can almost say with near confidence between 4 and 8 hours a week back.
Okay, so I want to take a minute and I want to talk about who this is for because I think that's really an
Yeah.
important call out. So I think that I mean if you are in the network marketing industry anywhere, any place, you probably need this worse than anybody because I guarantee you the duplication agent that we've built will change your life. Change your life. Having something that does a repeatable process for you on a daily, monthly, whatever cadence will change your life. If you're in the bookkeeping industry and you have deadlines and you have a team that does tasks and organizes does all of your data reconciliation and you do the high level stuff, this is for you. If you are a real estate agent, you have daily SOPs, you have contracts, you have things that you are trying to put in place. You may be the brains of your operation and your team has to come to you for a lot of questions. A lot of them might be learning it, but I promise you, putting these processes in place would procure your team to go out and move more inventory and make more sales because they would be doing less of the arduous labor of all the repeated tasks because you could offload it in 30 days. Lindsay, who else? Like, give me some more key examples of people this would be for. It'd be for people who are in the fitness industry who are wanting to like help their clients, just like Fanny, building a Fanny little agent for people. This could be a high level leverage for you building like a Fanny
Yeah,
agent.
I mean agents we built in the building space. So if you're
Yeah.
in HVAC, electrical, any kind of like building space, like some of the ones we've built
Mhm.
for our team is like walking through all of your punch list items or all of your items
Yeah.
audibly,
Yeah.
talking through it and having it automatically build all your tasks and sending it. We've also used, we have an incredible agent that we use that when you're doing scopes. So like if you're
Yeah.
walking through a job and you're trying to figure, like you know how you walk through and you're like, oh, we need to do this, we need to,
Yeah.
and it will literally build out all the scopes, client facing, as well as the scopes for trades if you're a GC. So like those kinds of things can be huge.
Yeah.
From all operational. These are all ways to make your operations run
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
But it's really goes back to when you're really honest about where your time is going, it becomes really simple on what the first one is to build. Like we built one that automatically enters all of our bills. So
Yeah.
that way the keeper can audit it from without having to manually. That was taking hours having to enter bills. So I
Yeah.
think it's one of those, like, it really depends on where are you putting a bunch of time? Where is
Right.
your team putting a bunch of time? Where can you buy back some time?
Well, and you can do some content, like Lindsay said, content may not be your thing. Content might be your thing, and
Oh, it
you
for sure could. Sorry,
absolutely.
everybody just always goes there first, and it's like,
Yeah, they do. But I will say, because content is my jam, and we have built some really freaking amazing agents around content creation that hold amazing guardrails for our expectations of content. We start with the human first, right? But they hold the guardrails for how we
we
want
never let AI speak for us, and that's
No, never let
there's
AI
a
speak.
way to build content without letting AI speak for you.
There is a very,
And
very
that I think is the
way
flex.
to get
Yeah.
it to, yeah. And so you can absolutely do that. You can have it scrape your content data to figure out what's singing online and what's not, what you need to make more of, what you need to get laser focused on, what's converting, what pieces of content are your biggest ROI that you need to make more on. Like there are some really freaking cool things you can do with this, and have your team oversee. Like we have real life employees that oversee these things for us, but we give them these agents to make their life simpler so that it can move faster so they can spend their time on the creativity. I'd rather have our content creator spend time on the beautification of the content and her artistic skill than I would digging in the weeds trying to put together data for me. Does that make sense? And so
Mhm.
those are places where I want to buy back her time. I need her doing both. But I value the beautification that she does because AI graphics make me cringe. I don't like them. I don't care for them. And I love the organic things that she builds. So just to give you guys some context around what that looks like. So, Lindsay, closing thoughts on this. I am so lit about this challenge. I can't even tell you. It starts September
September
15th.
15th. Mhm.
Yep. Yep. And so we are currently, it is live. You can register. We'll have the link in the show notes for this. And I don't know, it's going to be a game changer. It's going to be one
I'm
of those
really
things like
excited.
you don't do it now, you're going to wish you had because you're going to be left behind.
Yeah,
It's going to
and
be
really using it right isn't gonna be like what you think it is.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
okay.
So, we're excited. We'll
Well,
see you
wonderful.
guys.
We're excited. See you
Yeah,
guys.
drop in the yeah, just, like, get in the challenge, man. This is gonna be
Yeah.
insane.
Game changer.
So,
Yep.
yeah. Alright, thanks. Bye.
Bye.